Rupert Murdoch may soon be very, very sorry his network ever picked on Dominion's voting machines. Good. Welcome to MOMocrats Mama Chat, part of the Demcast family of podcasts. I'm Donna Schwartz Mills here with Aliza Worthington and Karoli of CrooksandLiars.com. Aliza, we've missed you these last 2 weeks.
I missed you guys so much. You have no idea.
Oh,
it's been a brutal couple weeks. I'm really, really happy to be back with you guys.
We are happy to have you back. So, like yesterday, I was driving to my art class yesterday because on Thursdays I take an art class. So I was driving to my art class yesterday, and in the car, I've got MSNBC on, and all they're talking about is the Fani Willis, the 8 or 9 pages they released on that, and it doesn't say much, but the fascinating tidbit that the grand jury in Georgia was convinced that somebody lied to them. And then when I get out of the art class, it is all about this Dominion suit, these revelations about Dominion. And I didn't get to look at it till I went home, but oh my God. The two-facedness.
And the many examples of it over and over again. I haven't even finished the filing, but every time I turn another page, it's like, oh my God, this happened too. It's just crazy.
So are they related, or is it not?
No, they're not related. Well,
it was just the news cycle had happened, so it had done such a whiplash that you were like,
well, it's
right.
like stuff still hasn't actually happened yet.
I know.
It's like the pace of the stuff not quite happening yet has gotten faster.
Right. Right. And we all hope that something's going to happen sooner rather than later. But,
it does feel like since Jack Smith took over. Well, I mean, Fani Willis has been, I mean, I'm so loath to rush anybody who's in charge of this, whether it's in Georgia.
You want them to get it right.
Yeah, you want them to get it right. Because, I mean, if anybody is an absolute savant at escaping accountability and justice, it's Donald Trump. And so we really want to make sure that they, cross every T and dot every I and nail every nail in that coffin. So, and I have all the faith in the world in Fani Willis. And with Jack Smith, it really seems like things are, the pace is picking up. It feels that way to me. I don't know if it feels that way to you, but I feel like, they've subpoenaed who? Mark Meadows, Mike Pence. Am I missing anybody?
Fighting it?
Who's fighting it, of course. Am I missing anybody else recently who got subpoenaed by him? Were there any I feel like there was an attorney of...
Yes. Evan Corcoran, the attorney.
Okay, right. I knew there was an attorney of Trump's that got subpoenaed.
Yeah. And he's had to hire an attorney.
So it feels like there's been, they're getting closer and closer to the head, of the snake. But
even the New York Times is saying, "Ooh, Trump may actually get indicted." And I'm not holding my breath still, but maybe.
It does. I do feel, we all want immediate gratification, but damn, I want that case to be airtight.
I know.
All of them,
Yeah. It would be very gratifying to see bad guys actually punished.
But what they were saying about, what you're saying about Rupert Murdoch and Fox and everything, I finally have been able, at least in the last week, to kind of catch up on watching Nicole Wallace. And just today, they were talking about the revelations of the machinations between, Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham and them all, trying to get Jackie Heinrich fired for reporting the truth.
Right.
And
Right.
their
Well,
concern with
let's
stock
stop. Can we just
prices.
stop with that?
Yeah.
Let's actually talk about the details of the Jackie Heinrich thing, because
Yes.
this is, like, to me, just shocking. So
Right.
Jackie Heinrich, who is
I want to
really
come back
not
to
one
it
of my
though, because
favorite
I have
Fox
a point.
reporters.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, but let's just okay, so we'll come back to it. But Jackie Heinrich says there's no evidence that any voting system deleted or lost votes, changed votes, or is in any way compromised. That's what she said.
Yeah.
And
She told the
Tucker
truth.
Carlson emails or texts, I'm not sure which, Sean Hannity, and says, please get her fired. What the fuck? I'm actually shocked. It needs to stop immediately, like tonight. It's measurably hurting the company. The stock price is down, not a
The
joke.
stock prices.
It's
Not
hurting the stock prices. How much stock do you think those guys have in Fox?
$1 million.
Well, millions, yeah. I mean, their contracts are $1 million contracts. You assume that a big chunk of that's probably, a big chunk of that is probably
Stock options.
Multi-millions.
stock.
Guaranteed.
Multi-millions, yeah.
And the point that I guess it was Nick Confessori or somebody was making about that whole thing was how terrified they are of their own audience.
Yes.
Right.
Of telling their own audience the truth.
But we remember that's what happened when they called Arizona for Joe Biden.
Yep.
The audience did not want to hear it.
That's right. And they talked about that
moved
too.
On to Newsmax and OAN, all of a sudden, those two, puny little networks saw an uptick in viewership.
Yep.
Because what these people, if you're not going to give me the red meat I want, because I've been gorging on it now for 5 years. If you don't give me the red meat I want, I'm just going to go to one of these.
I'm going to fuck off to the other. Yeah.
That's right.
To the other place.
Right.
And that's
because they fed the monster. I mean,
they created it.
They created it. Yeah.
Tinfoil hat wearers on the fringe, but it used to be safely on the fringe, talk radio, late night. They didn't have the platform
Fine safely
that Fox and Trump gave them. And it's talk about pandemics. It was like a virus, the way it went through, everybody.
But it just over and over again in this filing, you just see how they're willing to lie to their viewers to make them happy. So basically, when you tune into Fox News,
or make them angry,
you're there to be. You're not there to be. Well, but anger is its own kind of happy. You know what I mean?
Right.
So when you tune into Fox News, the people that do that, they're not there to be informed. They're not there to get facts. They're there to be enraged.
Validated.
Right.
And to be validated. So the mere act of actually fact checking something is, apparently a mortal sin and lowers the stock price of Fox News. It's just appalling.
And Cavuto was caught up in that too. Cavuto was a casualty of that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just the stories that are coming out. I haven't had a chance to sit down and read everything, but I am really anxious to do
so
it.
much.
It's rare for me to be on Jackie Heinrich's side about anything, but
I know, right? Same. I mean, that's the thing. It's not like Jackie Heinrich is some kind of heroine.
No.
Right? I mean, she's just as bad as the rest of them, but in this one case, she
accidentally told the truth here, and and she got.
And the thing is that the lie was such a dangerous lie, is such a dangerous lie. And I was watching the same Nicole Wallace today as you, Aliza.
Okay, yeah.
And Nicole puts on Tucker's show from last night, and there he is, still feeding the lie. We don't know, we don't think it's possible that Joe Biden got all those votes. How can that be? He's old. He's old and senile.
As opposed to Trump, who's a youthful, what is he, 76 or something? 74?
He's not that much younger than Biden.
Yeah,
there's
Biden.
He's not that much. He's not that far behind.
And he's not in good shape.
Yeah.
Let's give those two men, let's put them both on bicycles and see them race,
Yeah, see who does better.
Exactly.
See who looks better in jeans.
And Biden just got, like a clean bill of health from his doctor, which got published. It wasn't like some big dark secret like Trump's was. So there's that. Excuse me.
Nice mug.
Yes, that is a great mug.
I like that mug.
I love that
mug. So, so how many billions? I mean, is it like 1.2 billion? Is that what Dominion is suing Fox for?
Oh, I don't know, but I know it's in the billions.
It's in the billions.
1.6.
1.6. And they seem to have a very good case.
It's a very good case, especially since they keep doing it. Yeah. I mean,
the only argument they've been able to come up with is that Dominion is not worth 1.6 billion.
Well, but isn't some of that, damages to their potential?
And based on their, whether they're going to get hired again.
Right.
Like this is future earnings that are lost.
Future earnings.
Yep. Excuse me.
That's okay, you poor thing.
We're all doing great. I understand that you haven't had much of a winter on the East Coast, Aliza.
We have not, and I am pissed about it. I would like a good snowstorm, but it was like 70 degrees.
Freezing here by our standards. So.
Yeah, but freezing by you is like 50 degrees, right? Like, what's the deal over there?
Well, it's in the 50s right now.
Yeah, but it's got down to like in the 30s.
Actual freezing temperatures at night.
Oh, like actual freezing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for a whole month. We usually get a few days here and there in the winter, but it has been unrelenting.
I'm not complaining. I like it because I like sweaters, so it's cool for me.
Yes. I like sweater weather too, which is why I wish we would have some. I mean, it's one of the reasons we moved back from. Well, it's not. It was a big reason I was happy to move back from Southern California to Maryland. Is that I like seasons. I like a change in the seasons. We were close to 70 earlier in the week, and it was a little ridiculous, I have to say.
Well, I hope next week it's going to be cold in New York. That would be my hope.
That would be fun.
But I'm prepared for whatever we have.
Because then we get to go into a cozy bar and drink hot toddies together and
right, all that,
have a fun time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fox News is in big trouble.
Yeah.
Big trouble. And go ahead.
I'm here for it.
It happened to a nice corporation, right?
Yeah.
Right. And when we're done with Fox News, let's go after OAN and Newsmax and all the rest of them that are propaganda machines and see what happens.
They don't have as big a footprint as Fox, though, do they? I mean, they've been dropped from, like, Fox News will never get dropped from
anything.
Right. But OAN and Newsmax have been dropped, have they not, from certain cable carriers? And
well, I mean, if you listen to our new Republican House of Representatives, right, Newsmax has been shunned and barred and all the rest. So
drawn and quartered.
Right. And I mean, the story with Newsmax is that cables were perfectly happy to carry their channel. was, because they were doing it basically for free. They weren't having to charge and, pay any carriage fees. Well, then Newsmax got greedy and said, well, we want, $61 million of carriage fees or whatever. And they're like, no, bye. We're not doing that. And so they dropped Newsmax and they put on the one with Chris
new
Cuomo.
one.
Yeah.
Oh no, not the Chris Como one. Not that one.
I thought it was.
Well, that one is supposed to be a middle of the road one with Chris Cuomo.
Right. But I thought that's what they replaced Newsmax with.
I thought they replaced Newsmax with one with Bill O'Reilly.
Bill O'Reilly's on that same channel with Chris Cuomo.
Ugh. 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 Ugh.
Yeah.
Chris Cuomo continues.
News Nation, right.
He is trash.
Right? I mean, he's not middle of the road, Chris Cuomo.
No,
he's not. I don't know. New York, honestly, I want to see New York do some things, New York Democrats particularly, do some things to clean up the party that they've got there because
oh my God, tell me about it.
They have the same problem in New York that they have in Florida, where you have basically Republicans running the Democratic Party. Right. And it's crazy. I mean,
there's no other way to explain how Hochul nominated that anti-choice piece of shit.
Right.
For the judgeship, the top Supreme Court judgeship in New York. It's not called Supreme Court, but
whatever it is.
High Court, whatever the High Court is called.
Yeah.
Right. No, I know. It's crazy. So
there's no other way to explain it.
Let's clean it up. And Republicans need to clean their own house too, considering
but Democrats and the Democratic Party in New York is a mess.
Oh, I think they moved some of them down to Florida so that they could do, both sides of that. But anyway, I didn't mean to get sidetracked on that. But just to demonstrate, though, that we have a lot of liars in the new House of Representatives. So today, I don't know if you saw our article about it, but today we have the Tennessee representative who said that he was an economist and that he'd been the executive director of a nonprofit and served in the military. Turns out that he was not an economist. He majored in English or something in college. He did graduate. He did go to college.
Starts with an E.
We don't know if he graduated because he put a block on anybody inquiring after his college records, which in itself is sort of a dead giveaway.
Very Trumpian.
Okay. He didn't serve. He didn't do active duty in the military. He enlisted in the National Guard in like 2009 or something and spent some time in the National Guard. And he's not an economist, and he was a part-time employee at some nonprofit, made $4,000 a year. Right. All the liars. So I was talking this morning about this a little bit to myself. I was saying we have George Santos. We have, of course, the lying liar of all time, which is Donald Trump, who declared, well, that's another thing entirely. We can get to that. But anyway, there's Trump. There's this guy Ogles now, and there's Anna Paulina Luna from down in Florida who also lied about her past.
Right.
And things like
I don't think I know her.
Huh?
I don't think I know her.
Oh, you do. She's the one she's the model that wouldn't affirm Kevin McCarthy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So we have her too. So we have all these lying liars, and
every week we get a new one.
It's like the Republican liar factory, right? I mean, they churn them out. And my theory is basically that they go out and recruit candidates that embellish their resumes like that. Basically they're losers, and they get out and and they puff up their resumes. They train them in how to be
shameless,
obstinate, but also, they're pretty faces. So they go out and, they're Republican pretty faces. They go out, they get elected, and then they're puppets, right? Yeah. They're just puppets. And my husband said that, you should have Geppetto making Pinocchios, in all different,
If only.
Anyway,
It's true. What was that agency that so many of them came out of?
Oh, right. Boebert is another one like
Right.
that. Yeah.
Right.
Lauren Boebert and probably Marjorie Taylor Greene too, but Boebert and I know the agency you're talking about. It's like
I mean, we talked about it last year, I remember.
We did.
But I mean, like, it's it's, you know, they're, you know, it's all the same.
Turning them out just like troll farms, you know?
Right, exactly. That's my point. It's like, and that's what we have in the House of Representatives now. It's basically a freaking troll farm.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that guy Ogles, the one that also lied about everything, he's the one that shouted out at Biden at his State of the Union address that that it was his fault that fentanyl, you know, that they were actually, I mean, Biden was saying there's fentanyl, you know, that they're trying to bring over the border, and we've gotten more of it in the last year than we have, you know, in the last 4 years, but that's something else again. And Ogles shouts out in the middle of that, it's your fault. I mean, they're just a bunch of fucking puppets.
Yeah.
They're to be, it's really awful. I mean, I don't understand why the Republican Party hasn't been decimated. And the only reason I can think of is Fox News and the fact that Republicans really are religious about voting Republican. Like, this is a thing for them. It has been forever. I mean, I can tell you, you know, like, Republicans that they would sooner die than vote even independent, much less Democrat. It's a thing. It's weird.
Yeah, like the dopamine hit they get from having their anger and their grievances validated is so powerful.
And it's something very comforting to know that if the world isn't perfect, there's somebody to blame.
Yeah.
Right.
And that it's not them.
Somebody who's not them.
Right.
Great minds think alike.
Don't matter.
And that there's nothing, and it relieves them of any responsibility to have to do anything about it.
Right.
And that combination is just intoxicating.
Apparently.
To them. And they would sooner die.
Oh, yeah.
And do a little self-examination or do a little unpacking of any kind of logic behind.
But it's why they don't want any public education.
Yeah.
It's why they don't want to support public colleges. It is why they are happy about what DeSantis did to the new college in Florida.
Don't even tell me. What did he do to the new college in Florida?
Oh, he took all the trustees off and put his own puppets on the board and turned it into a
What kind of college? Was it a public college or?
It was it was originally
a public liberal arts
independent college, but very, very progressive. And then years ago it became part of the state system. And it was like a little gem of a college.
Well, we can't have that. Yeah.
Well, Republicans really love to destroy small liberal arts colleges. I mean, I can show you how they've gone after Bard College in the past. They've got, you know, the billionaires do it with money. They basically, you know, the Koch spot their way into Florida's public system, and I'm sure that they were part of the reason why New College, you know, turned the way it did. So,
but they want to turn it into the Hillsdale College of the South.
Right. Because that's what Florida needs. More wingnuttery in their college system.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's honestly, that's one of the least of the things that Ron DeSantis is doing. He's a fascist.
I haven't heard of it. I didn't hear about it.
Yeah. Well, he is also quietly campaigning in red states to get a constitutional convention going.
Oh,
Right.
good. We have another that's gaining.
Servant of the billionaires. That's a
Yeah,
thing. I mean, and that's why Democrats really need to take back more state houses. We got Michigan back, and both, all of trifecta in Michigan, and
yeah.
Pennsylvania is now.
In
So
Democratic
yeah,
hands. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So, but yeah, that's a thing. And I mean, DeSantis is just dangerous in a lot of ways, and he's definitely part of the Coke. I mean, I hate to just hang it on the Cokes because there's really it's a cabal,
Yeah,
and
but they're
that's a
everywhere.
bad word. That's a bad word to use too because it's just a conspiracy theory. But I mean, we all know about the Koch network. We've
Yeah.
had it reported on, right? It's DeVos. The only ones that are sort of apart is the Bradley Foundation, but the Bradley Foundation is parallel with what the Kochs do.
Right.
So
I
Yeah.
mean, is it
yeah,
really paranoia if they truly are out to get you?
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, right,
no, they
exactly.
really are out to do terrible things. I mean,
It's a
they're,
Right.
vast right-wing conspiracy. It was 30 years ago, and it's
and it's
vaster
still,
and denser now.
yeah,
Right.
and richer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, so anyway, yes. Do we have anything like thus depressing?
Those emails and texts from Fox on
Oh,
Dominion,
we did.
that was less depressing. That's why we
That is
left
less
it at that.
depressing.
It has not
That
been a
was the less depressing stuff, huh?
it has not
Oh,
been a good
golly.
week. We had more mass shootings. We
Less
had,
depressing. Less
um,
depressing.
the train derailment in East Palestine.
Mm.
That's depressing.
Yep.
Um, the teen girls study that the CDC did with the stunning statistics on the mental health of our
Oh,
young girls. I
oh my
mean,
God,
Yeah.
that one killed me.
yeah. And I mean, that's the kind of thing that we need to do a whole hour on,
That
Show
needs to be
on.
an
you know?
entire
Yeah, I
show.
agree.
Yeah. And the same thing with Aliza, before you had to take a break, we talked about that environmental protester who was shot
Yeah,
in Georgia,
Tortuguito.
Tortuguito. And that's another
Um,
one that we need to spend a lot more time on. Um, John Fetterman is getting help for the depression that he's undergoing, maybe due to the stroke that he had last year.
I think that's
So that's a
good.
good thing.
I think
That's
that's good.
a happy story.
It's
I
a
think
And
happy
that's
I
really
mean,
story
good.
because people are being supportive of him. This is not Tom Eagleton all over again.
well, yes, people are being supportive, but there are plenty of people who aren't, and most of them are on Fox News and the right-wing media.
Yeah,
I
the,
mean,
Well, they
the
would
Republicans.
where Laura Ingraham is saying, "Oh, that poor man, his wife forced him to run for the Senate," and now he's, oh yeah, because she wanted to live out her fantasies, or
Yeah,
so the, I
Laura
mean, it's
Ingraham
just
is such
she's awful,
yeah,
but
she is.
I'm just gonna say from my perspective, right? My issue was anxiety. It wasn't depression, but
Yeah,
anxiety and depression are like this,
they
right?
are
I mean,
so,
they're very close to each other, and
they're Irish
and
twins.
they are debilitating,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? And so the fact that he's going in and getting help is a wonderful, wonderful thing. I'm so
Yeah.
glad that he's doing it, and we don't talk about enough. Like this is probably because of his stroke, but lots of people have depression and anxiety that don't have
Right.
strokes. I mean, it's just a thing that happens to people, and it needs treatment, just like if you have an infection or anything else. I mean, it needs to be treated.
It
People
is
get depressed.
it is very, very, very I mean, it is so common that I don't think there is a single family in this country or in the world who hasn't been touched by it.
No, I would agree with that.
There
And I
isn't.
think
I'm going to go say it. There isn't.
mhm,
There is not one
mhm.
family that isn't touched by depression or anxiety or some kind of mental health issue.
Yeah.
Right.
There's not one.
And it shouldn't be stigmatized.
If someone tells you that there's none of that in their family, they're lying, or they're in denial,
too.
or they don't know.
Both.
Yeah.
And I think this is tied into the reporting from the Washington Post, actually, who a colleague of ours wrote on.
Really?
Do you know Catherine Kaki Reynolds? Oh, she's a colleague of our from the blogging days. And she's the primary reporter on that.
Wow.
And
sorry.
And shout out to her. She did a great job. But the numbers are staggering. The number of teenage girls and preteen girls who have been victims of sexual assault, who have contemplated suicide, is astonishing. And the number of girls who are begging for adults to take them seriously and not dismiss them as being dramatic or just really taking them seriously about the pressures that they're under, how magnified these pressures are given what social media combined with the pandemic, combined with the isolation of the pandemic, then the being forced back into, the anxiety created by being forced back into school situations after the isolation of the pandemic, all of those pressures.
And that's on top of the academic pressures that
on
we
top of
put
the
on
academic
all our
pressures,
teenagers
on
anyway.
top of racism,
Yeah.
on top of unrealistic beauty standards, on top of the ease with which images can spread because of electronics and social media. It is mind-blowing. It is nothing like my generation, or even people 20 years younger than me, even people in their 30s had
was
to face.
bad. That was already
And
bad.
that was bad.
Is
And
not
that was bad.
amazing. That was bad.
Yeah.
So this is it is a wake-up call.
Yeah.
And people have to stop comparing what they went through as kids to what these kids are going through.
Yeah.
And have to be available to their kid.
Yep. Well, I agree with that.
And then you throw in a kid who's trans and it just completely goes over the edge.
Yeah.
Especially now.
I have more friends with trans kids who went through a suicidal stage,
Yep.
and it's heartbreaking. And as a parent, all you want to do is make them stop hurting,
Right.
And it takes so much therapy and treatment and understanding and getting to what that child needs.
Yeah.
And it's not an easy process.
No, and the healthcare system doesn't make it easy either to get, because of the way it has siloed mental health care away from physical health care. Like when you have a physical ailment, it's a lot of insurance companies. A lot of counselors or psychiatrists or therapists don't work through insurance, and it's a lot more difficult to jump through the hoops needed to find a good therapist. And sometimes even working with a therapist when it comes to mental health, it's a lot harder to test whether a therapist is a good fit
Yeah.
than it is to test if a podiatrist is a good fit for you because of the level of
It's more complicated.
rawness that you have
It's more
to, and
complicated.
vulnerability you have to
Yeah.
open up and see if they're going to take the care that you need. So, you know, and you don't just want to throw your kid in with any therapist, you know.
Right.
It's very difficult, and you know, so I really feel like this this report was an eye opener, and but I mean, but you know, God bless John Fetterman for at least you know, doing his part to destigmatize the you know, getting help and getting treatment. The best way he knows how. And you know, and everybody should, you know, I do know a lot of kids who are in therapy. I know a lot of kids who just say, oh well, when my therapist said this and blah blah blah, and I love them for it. It's, you know, there's, you know, it is true that the next generation is a lot more comfortable talking about therapy, and you know, it is more destigmatized than it used to be when I was growing up anyway. But you know, parents have to you know, let go of whatever issues they might have, and they have to really advocate for their kids to be taken care of, and you know, let go of any kind of judgment.
I also feel that if there's one thing that we have learned in the last couple of decades, is that every time we make a step forward with progress, there's going to be pushback. And
well, can we widen the lens on the trans kids for just a minute to take into account the fact that they're being used as a wedge issue politically by the right. And I just saw like the New York Times is just come under fire.
What?
For reporting the way they're reporting on trans people. And you know, basically they received 2 different letters signed by hundreds of signatories. Basically saying the way you're covering trans issues is not right. You know, you need to look at it more. It's right. It's painful, it's harmful, and it's doing bad things to people, and you need to fix it. And their response to that was, hey, you know, we're not advocates here. We're just reporting. And you know, our job, I know your job is to be an advocate, but our job is just to report. Well,
condescending.
Well, come on. I mean, that's like saying that's the same argument they make for why they can do both sides of reporting, and we're just supposed to sit back and take it, right? Because both sides means that they've reported whether the facts are there or not. They've reported what either side is saying without any regard, honestly, to facts, and that's what they're doing here. And it's doing real harm. And, you know, anybody who knows me knows that trans issues are something I wanted to stay away from. I just didn't want to waddle into it because number one, I didn't know enough. And number two, I had my own questions about all of it. And if you can't be sincere about it, then you shouldn't try, right? I mean, you shouldn't try to be insincere, I guess was my point. So I wanted to stay away from them. But the more abuse trans people get, the less I could do that. So I actually had to pay attention. And honestly, the New York Times has just been abysmal when it comes to trans issues. And you know, they're basically letting themselves be played as the, you know, as the vehicle for the political warfare that's been declared on trans people. And it's, for Republicans, for the people that are using this, it's just a cheap shot. That's all they want, right? I mean, that's why you have Jesse Waters saying, you know, that Democrats want to cut kids' ding-dongs off.
Oh my God.
And yeah, he said that earlier this week. And, you know, it's a shock, cheap shot. That's the best I can describe it as. They don't care. They don't care about trans kids. They don't care about trans people. They know that it scares people. and so they use it as a way to,
It's a
to
pattern.
amass power.
It's a pattern, you know.
Yeah.
It
They're
it is
othering them.
they other,
Hmm.
and as many people as they other, it again, it's just the fascist playbook
Right.
all over again.
And then the day after that, did you see the day after this, after this letter?
What the
After,
Times,
Double down.
not only did they double down, they published an opinion piece called "In Defense of J.K.
Yes.
Rowling."
Yes.
yeah, right.
Exactly. That's how they double down.
Yep. I mean, it's just,
It's not that not only did they say, "Well, we're just doing our job over here," then they went so far as to defend J.K. Rowling.
right. And where is their defense of trans people? Nowhere.
Right.
Right.
We don't have anything published to that effect. So it's, ugh.
I feel like an attack on trans people is the same as an attack on Black people or Jewish people.
It is.
It is all anybody who is not white Christian male,
Cisgender.
cisgender. And it is wrong. And that's why you have to protest. You have
Right.
to protest. You have to stand up. You have to stand up for Indigenous people. You have to stand up for Black people. You have to stand up for immigrants. You just have to stand up
Yep.
because we are all humans, right?
Right. Well, right. And that's the bottom line,
Yeah.
and the fact
They're
that we
trying to
have,
erase our humanity.
right.
Yeah, they're so terrible. They're so terrible.
You heard that 2 Jewish men were shot on 2 consecutive days
I
in
was
Los
just going to bring
Angeles.
that up. Yeah.
Where?
In the Pico
Beverly Hills.
Robertson area, which is one of the largest Jewish neighborhoods in Los Angeles.
Oh no.
Yeah.
They were leaving their synagogues, and the first one was shot in the back. The
Yep.
second one was shot in the arm. One
Mm-hmm.
yesterday, one 2 days ago, then one today, one yesterday.
Drive-bys.
And then today they
Drive-bys.
did arrest a suspect. LAPD has let it be known that they are going to have extra security around synagogues all through the holiday weekend.
They already have so much. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we have our own private security in all our
Yeah,
cities.
well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Do they think the same suspect committed both shootings?
They haven't said that, but they've definitely said that they believe that they were hate crimes, both
Right.
of them.
And the dude lived in Riverside, which is
Right.
a long drive from West Hollywood to West
Well,
Hollywood.
Riverside, yeah, it's a long drive, and it's also like one of the homes of the fascists out in
Yes.
California. I mean, for everybody, thinks, oh, California is just, coastal liberal. Well, I have news
Oh
for you.
no.
We have, I mean, if you look at I think the Southern Poverty Law Center did a study of where the most white supremacists and neo-Nazis and stuff in California is, like all the way down the Inland Empire. That's where they
Yep,
are.
yep.
And Huntington Beach.
And Huntington Beach, Katie Porter's district.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well,
So
speaking of Katie Porter, Di-Fi announced that she will not run again. Thank goodness.
before she forgot, she announced it.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
And so Nancy Pelosi already announced that she was going to endorse Adam Schiff if Feinstein was not running again.
Yeah.
Barbara Lee is going to run,
Okay.
but she doesn't have a lot of much of a war chest for that.
Yeah. See, I was actually surprised that Nancy Pelosi came out with an endorsement. And as soon as she endorsed Schiff, a whole bunch of representatives also endorsed Schiff.
Right.
So
Right.
I was actually surprised that in a primary, that this early in a primary, she would have come out and done that. And my only sense for why was for her to discourage basically Katie Porter and Barbara
Right.
Lee. That's the only
Yeah.
reason
Right.
but I am okay with having the three of them in a primary and ending up with 2 Democrats in the in the general.
I'm
I
not
would rather
okay with
that,
losing Katie Porter's seat.
but I don't think you have to lose Katie Porter's seat is my point. I mean, I think at some point, well, Harley Ruta's running there for
That's it.
starters, and he
Harley Ruda,
actually,
he's good. He's good.
yeah. So I mean,
But
I
by
don't
who
think,
went? Didn't Katie Porter win by just a very little bit?
Well,
yeah,
that was after
she did,
it was redistricted, so it was
yeah.
more purple even than it was before, or more
So does
red.
Harley Ruda have a good chance of taking that purple district?
Well, Harley Ruda won that Huntington Beach district before,
Oh,
so
okay.
he's got the best chance of doing it again.
Okay, yeah, I don't have
Um,
a great sense of California
so
politics, but
um, yeah, so I mean, I'd rather have 2 Democrats in the general than a Democrat and a Republican, honestly. Just because then we're basically talking about Democratic priorities for that whole race.
yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, we'll see how that shakes out. I was just surprised that Pelosi came out so early with an endorsement. I thought, why don't you wait a little while and see
She's
what
not the
happens,
speaker anymore,
She can do what she wants.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's not the speaker, but she is powerful. Let's not kid
she has
ourselves.
the power.
And I'm really glad that that Di-Fi is not going to run again. I had hoped that she would just sort of announce it before, with so she could be hailed for all the things she's done that are great, and
Yeah,
because she has, and retire with some dignity.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah,
Well,
so
if people hadn't announced they were running for her seat before, it might have been a little more dignified for her. But she did wait a little too
well,
long.
I think yeah, she waited a long
She
time
shouldn't have
to
She
run
did,
for
but
her seat.
I don't like that people announced they were running for her seat before she.
yeah. I guess Schiff talked to her before he announced
Yeah,
his.
he said that he did
So
talk to her.
Yeah,
so, and I don't know about the others. I don't know if they did or
they did
didn't, but
not.
he
No,
specifically said that he did. So
right.
anyway, it looks like he's the running favorite, which actually surprised me. I thought, but hey, I'm down with that. I'm okay. Let's just see
I
where
think
it
he would be an
goes.
amazing senator.
Yeah, I think
And
so too.
and his seat in Burbank would be filled by Democrats. So
Hmm.
Oh yeah, definitely, no question about that.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that
another piece of good news
I like
is
good news.
that Joe Biden has appointed more judicial appointments at this point than anybody else. He's
Including
outpacing
Trump.
Trump. Number
Yeah,
one,
he's out. I think it was the 100th this week, right?
the
Yep.
100th was this week. He has a record now in appointing women and people of color.
Yep,
And
76, I think, right?
yeah, out of that 100, you know. And his cabinet's mostly female.
hmm Speaking
Gotta
of
love it.
cabinet, he's got the same cabinet too. I mean, you've heard of advisors going in and out. I think Marty Walsh is the only cabinet member that's actually leaving.
Oh, okay.
And the advisors, like for example, having Ron Klain leave
For
after
2
2
years.
years,
Yeah.
and Jeff Zients coming in is, I mean, there's people that would like to make this a big deal, but my view on it is that the people that were in there, the Ron Klains, these, the others, they were there to make policy happen when we had the majority in both houses. Now we don't, right? Now we have the House has the Republican majority and the Senate has the Democratic majority, and you need somebody like Jeff Zients in the chief of staff position who can deal with that dynamic,
It's like
Mhm.
a football game where when you
right,
have the ball, you've got your offensive team, and when
Yeah.
you don't have the ball, you've got the defensive team. You've got to
right,
recalibrate when
Yep.
the situation changes.
right. Yep. So
And
that's
once again, Joe Biden shows what a consummate politician he is. And
Yeah.
I do not mean that as a derogatory term. I mean that as, you know,
no.
that's
No,
praise.
he's very
That's
skilled and
praise.
he's very sharp still. He knows.
There,
there is something to be said for professionalism and experience.
Yep.
And I don't understand why people always want outsiders. I don't understand why they want outsiders who don't know how everything works and can't get things done,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, so Nikki Haley's gonna throw her hat in the ring for the Republican primary, and she's
And she's gonna
not a
kick forward.
kick. That was the weirdest.
What does that
Like,
mean?
I don't kick sideways.
I don't kick sideways.
Forwards.
Who? What does that mean?
mean?
Yeah,
That was her answer every time they asked her about Trump.
I don't kick sideways. Like he's my equal. Okay. But
She's trying to say
forward,
she doesn't punch sideways, she punches up. That's
I
what
guess.
she's trying to say.
Well, she was also talking about kicking with high heels, so it hurts the opponent more.
Okay.
Right.
But apparently Tim Scott's also looking to get in the race, and so you'd have
Really?
two from the same. I don't understand why Tim Scott would willingly go into the Herschel Walker role in a
I
Republican.
don't either. I don't understand that at all. I mean,
That
it just
doesn't
doesn't
make
make.
sense.
And I mean, if you assume that these are all auditions for vice president,
Yeah.
right?
That's
So Nikki Haley would play the woman of color card against Kamala Harris.
two South Asians. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And then Tim Scott, they made. I will say this: that Republicans did make gains with black male voters in this last
They
midterm,
did.
and I don't know. I haven't studied enough to know why that is. I know that they definitely have some messaging around that, and that Tim Scott is certainly part of that
It
and
plays
everything.
into the misogyny.
Yeah,
What
right.
I don't understand is, having seen what Trump tried to do to Pence, why would anyone want to
Anybody
be
want to be vice president? Why? I said the same thing. I said, why would anybody want to be his vice president after the hang Mike Pence routine? And now I guess Mike Pence is out there doing his thing too, whatever that is. And I'm sure he hopes he's also a hopeful. But
Oh,
I don't get it. I mean, why? But in Mike Pence's case, I'm sure he would want to beat Trump, but the odds
yeah.
of that are almost slim to none.
As the Wall Street Journal said, Mike Pence will never be president. You know?
Right.
And he's never going to be vice president again.
No. That ship has sailed. And
But
yet,
speaking of vice presidents,
he's still fighting the subpoena.
right. He's stalling.
Yeah.
Right. That's all just a big stall. But our vice president, Kamala Harris, has been over in Germany doing good works over there.
In high heels.
In high heels, right. And I mean, she's doing, like, everybody says, I don't know what Kamala Harris does. It's like, well, pay attention.
Only
and maybe
everything.
It would be nice to
follow her on social media, pay attention, read the newspaper. She's everywhere.
Even when she is there, all I am seeing in the news is Democrats don't want her. Democrats are afraid that she's going to bring everything down. We don't like her. Nobody wants to vote for her. People are afraid if anything happens to Biden, we're toast because nobody will vote for her. People, Democrats are spooked after Hillary Clinton lost to Trump.
So I'm going to argue that it's not Democrats that are spooked. I'm going to argue that it's some Democratic consultants out there.
Bingo.
Who
want to.
Democrats love her. People love her. The people who dislike her are the leftists.
Who also
the Bernie Bros.
Who also,
they can't stand her. But
that's too bad.
But it's the Republicans and the male Democratic strategists.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
Like David Axelrod has had it out for her since day one. What is his problem?
Yeah.
I don't actually care. There's nothing he has to say that I care
Of
about.
course not,
I'll
but
be honest.
he's got a big megaphone. Okay, so
Yeah.
this
Well,
is
CNN gives him that.
yeah. And so there, and there are plenty like him. Oh, she's got a credibility problem, or she's got a this problem, or or there's tension in her office, or there's whatever, it's crap. It's all crap.
Bullshit. Yeah.
It's such bullshit. And like all, or there's difficulty between her and Biden. That's such crap. They love each other.
Yeah,
It's so
it's just
apparent
all
when you see them
invented.
interact. They're so in tune with each other.
It's invented drama.
It is invented drama, and Democrats love her. She is cheered everywhere she goes. People, she's going to be fine.
The quiet ambassador is the second gentleman, Doug Emhoff, who has been going all over the country to fighting anti-Semitism, not just the country, but also abroad.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's been... he made a trip. Did he go to Auschwitz? Is that where he went? He went to Auschwitz and Birkenau.
Yeah. And everything. And he's doing this stuff doesn't make the front page, but I see it every day. And I think to myself, they're just doing the work of the saints, and she's getting great foreign policy chops. She's over there now. She's meeting with the British Prime Minister tomorrow. Let's see. Let me tell you what she's doing. She's going to meet. She's been at the Munich Security Conference this week.
That was today and yesterday, I think, right?
Yeah.
Right. She's meeting with Prime Minister of the United Kingdom tomorrow. She's meeting with the Prime Minister of Sweden and the Prime Minister of Finland tomorrow. And then she leaves in the afternoon and she's coming back. And then next week, she's going to Maryland. She's going to your neck of the woods.
You can go see her.
Aliza.
What's she doing in Maryland?
Where's Bowie, Maryland? I don't know where that is.
Bowie, that's closer to DC than to me. But it's about half hour, 40 minutes for me.
Announcing updates on the Biden-Harris administration's efforts to lower costs for home buyers.
Yay. I laugh when she says that, that's farther away from me. And then she goes, it's like a half hour.
45 minutes.
Well, to DC. I am an hour from DC. So if she's going to Bowie, she is closer to DC than she's less than halfway to me, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So that's all I meant.
Okay.
And so she so she's meeting with all those prime ministers tomorrow.
She met with a bunch of them today too.
That's all.
Okay.
So I'd say her job is more important.
My daughter just texted me to let me know that she sat next to Chris Pine at a coffee shop for an hour today.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh boy. Oh boy, lucky girl.
You could see
buy him coffee.
Harris. My daughter got to see Chris Pine.
Nice.
Anyway, we are near the end of our hour.
I missed you guys so much. I'm really, really happy to catch up.
Good. I'm glad.
Too. And we are happy to see you. And we are looking forward. We're all going to get together in person next week. So
are we doing a podcast next week, or are we?
I'm not sure what form it will take, but we will put some video up next week.
Okay.
And on that note,
I can't wait.
That is our show for this President's Day weekend. Join us next time on YouTube, MOMocrats.buzzsprout.com, or your favorite podcast service such as iTunes, Google, and Amazon Music. And be sure to check our Facebook page for updates. I'm Donna Schwartz Mills with Karoli and Aliza Worthington saying goodbye for the MOMocrats. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
MOMocrats Mama Chat is part of the Demcast family of podcasts.